Welcome, friends, to A Date with Destiny. In case you couldn't tell, some weird tech stuff was happening. For whatever reason, OBS won't show the media you're going to play in studio mode. So,
Love that.
cool
Love that
fun.
for us.
Love it. So great. So, anyway, pre credit and post credit are going to look weird, but welcome to A Date with Destiny. And I'm here with A. Jordan Lambert, aka Jordan, or Lambertra,
Hey
as you are
guys,
known on the internet.
as I am known on the internet.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna do a real quick test. If you just say
Yeah.
something, I'm gonna make sure that the Twitch actually has volume.
This is terrible because in real life, normally I can't shut up. And the moment somebody puts me on the spot, is like, say something, my whole mind turns into a chalkboard. It's completely blank. There's nothing there.
Great, it works. We have audio,
All
so I
right, cool.
haven't broken that portion of it. Oh, fantastic! Nothing like producing your own shit
Yeah, right.
and running your own tech. Anywho,
I have Twitch open in the background so I can look at chat, but that also means that there's two of me on the screen and I
oh
don't need to see
no,
that. So I'm trying to figure out how to cover up at least one of them.
the worst. I have technically three because I have the Zoom, I have the OBS, and then I have
Yeah.
also my phone. Incredible.
Well, now I have two of you, which is,
Oh no. Well,
it's delightful, but they're not in sync.
we're just casting duplicity is what's happening. Anywho. All right. Well, welcome to this fun little interview show I'm trying to do where I'm trying to one, get to know some of the players and dungeon masters of the Rumbles better, but also like, I don't know, get y'all more seen in the community because we have so many amazing folks in this crew and I don't get to spend enough time with all of you. So,
So
yay.
much beautiful talent. Yeah, you've just amassed so much wonderful talent.
I am Littlefinger, not Littlefinger. What's the other one? Varys with the
Varys, yeah.
spiders and
Yeah.
all those little birds or whatever. Yeah, I was like, what's a slightly less evil? I don't want to
Slightly
be
less.
Littlefinger.
I look, Littlefinger is ultimately one of my characters, I will say that. Like one of my favorite characters on the show because he's so clever. Yes, he's absolutely evil, but I do enjoy the chess moves that he made. We would have no show without him.
That's fair. That's true. He played the game right up until he could not play the game anymore.
Yeah. Until Sansa
Um,
outsmarted him, which is also one of my favorite moments in the show.
just
Yeah.
in both book and show immaculate. But we're not here to talk about Game of Thrones.
No, sorry.
It's all right. We're here to talk about another game. Segue. Um, okay, I do have as an icebreaker because it's the question I tend to ask in session zeros. What is your favorite dice at the current moment in your collection?
When we were just in Philadelphia at PAX U last month, like a month ago today, actually, I think, or something like that.
Crazy. Yeah.
It went by real fast. I got a new set, and they're like purple iridescent, and they've got like liquid glitter on the inside. Um, and oh god, I can't remember their actual name, but someone was cosplaying as a character they've made created called Father Crit, and so my
Ooh.
dice
Oh,
were blessed.
yes.
They were blessed in the name of Matthew Mercer. So those are currently my favorite dice.
Incredible. Yeah, I have that person's card in my desk at work, so if I had it with
Yes.
me, but shout out to Father Crit, you rock. Um, delightful. Well, because this is an interview show, but I've decided it's a date with all of my friends. We're gonna
Yes.
do the typical tell me about
I mean, it's
yourself.
very D&D. We're always just getting gay with your friends. That's the whole point of D&D, right?
Yeah, obviously. And somehow, despite the fact that our main game is pure combat, everybody continues to like make out, go on dates, and strip. I don't.
Yeah. Yes.
How?
My first Rumble was a Bard Alliance, which very much was more just like Bard flirting.
Hardcore. I
Yeah.
have so many clips of you and Lamar and everybody at that game, but especially the two of you singing at each other. Uh,
Yes, yeah.
God, it was incredible. So good. It was so good.
That's
Uh,
what happens when you give us a disco themed show.
100%. Travis is an incredible DM. Yeah, the disco theme was spectacular. The potions this year was incredible. Like,
Yes.
anyway, we've cool friends. So, but tell me about you.
You know what just flashed into my head? I don't know if you've seen this going around on TikTok. It's all these vintage dating videos, and that is
Oh my god,
what just
yes.
popped into
Yes,
my
okay. Pitch me.
Tell
It's
me
your
about yourself.
80s
Yes, my 80s dating video.
VHS.
You have to imagine there's a Virginia Slim in my hands, and this
Incredible.
is a Diet Coke with lime.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, no, I'm A. Jordan Lambert. I am a dungeon master or game master here in this space. I primarily play a lot of D&D 5e and actual plays, and I bounced around in the beginning of my like online career in 2020 and then came back to primarily D&D, and now we're 5 years later and I'm going to start bouncing around again. So I need to get back to calling myself a game master and not a dungeon master.
Yeah, that's when I struggle with so much because like Dungeon Master still has more of the recognition,
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah,
can I tell you a funny story about Dungeon Master? So
please.
I on my social media, you go and you promote all this stuff, and
Mhm.
my Facebook is a lot of family and friends, like people that I've grown up with, as well as like professional contacts or whatever. So anyway, I'm posting about how I'm doing this new thing and I'm the dungeon master and blah blah, and I'm just going hardcore on promo all over my social media, including Facebook. And one of my old English teachers messages me and she goes, "Hey, like this dungeon master thing that you're about to do, is it like a game thing or is it like
That's
a
sexy.
sexy thing?" And she's like, "I support you either way, and I want you to be happy and successful. But if it's a sexy thing, I'm not watching it."
It's a sexy thing. I don't think it's allowed to be watched.
Right. I was like, Terry, if it was a sexy thing, I couldn't put it on the internet for people to see. Well, I mean, I could, but like not like this.
Not on
It's a
that
game
website.
thing. Yeah, it's a game thing. You're more than welcome to watch it. You don't have to. I appreciate you either way.
That's incredible. Okay, but also surely, I did meet somebody who said she's like big on OnlyFans at PAX U. Maybe I should hit her up about doing like Dungeon Masters.
I know exactly who you're talking about, and I want to play a game with her so bad because talking
Yes.
to her was just the most fun.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah, we met so many cool people there. But yeah, no.
You did. It
Speaking
was
of
so
business
rad.
cards, I need to whip out. I was like, let me. Surely
Right.
that must already exist, though. Surely somebody has done that. Aside from
Yeah.
the game changer
Gotta
bit
be.
with Brennan, it's like
Gotta
get on
be.
your knees. So you roll to get on your knees. All right. So of the other little just setup
Yeah.
questions I have, I was like, let's talk meet cute. How did we meet?
So we met at an industry event at San Diego Comic Con, 2023.
It would have been 24 because I think I immediately put you in a game.
Yeah, no. Oh, you're right. I think it was no.
Wait, is that
Yeah,
how
it was
math
24.
works?
You was yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was July. It was July. It was
Yeah.
July of 24, and then I was in like the August Rumble.
Yeah. Insane.
That's why it
Uh,
feels like we've been working together forever because it was literally we met and we're like
yeah.
hit
No,
the
I think you
pavement.
were one of the first
Um,
people I met at that event. I like
yeah,
walked in and immediately was like at your table and like,
yeah,
holy cow, tell me more, tell me everything.
yeah. We immediately just started. I remember we immediately started talking about witchcraft and the old gods, and I was like, I love this
Yes.
person.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. And you told
and
me
yeah,
about the show you run, which please
yes.
feel free to plug.
So my number one show, we will be back in February. That is confirmed. I've
Amazing.
been hinting that we'll be back for a while and never had a solid date. We are now a solid date. We'll be back in February.
Yay.
Um, it is called Blackness and Dragons, and we are an all black actual play. Like I said, we bounced around the systems, but our primary system is D&D 5e. It's in a homebrew world that I've built that has a lot of references to black culture. I like to tell people that if you're not black, you can still watch it and have a good time. But if you are black, the jokes are probably going to hit a little bit harder. Yeah, and you know, I started. I had the idea in 2019. I don't think we actually went live until the tail end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, there was this little thing that happened that kind of messed with everyone's
What was
schedules.
that?
um, but the my whole it started with me and my mom joking about different things. We were watching a TV show,
Hmm.
and it was like a self-help like reality TV show kind of thing, and the host of it said to her client, she's like, now don't go out here and embarrass us, which is a thing that lots of black people say, which is like, because one represents
Yeah,
the whole when you're a minority, so don't go out and embarrass us. And my mom was like, that could be a funny D&D spell. And I was sitting there, and my mom knows nothing about D&D. She just knows that I'm super into it. But I was like, oh my god, it could be like a buff to your stats and blah blah blah. And it could last for X amount of days. And I start running this idea in my head. And then I'm like, what if you replaced health potions with ginger ale? And like all these different things that black people do. And I went to a friend's house and told her, and she was like, dude, that's an actual play. I'm going to call Jake right now. And I was like, what? No, I'm just riffing. And
yeah.
she was like, no, you have an idea. And
It's a
she
show.
literally hops on her phone, texts her producer, who is now my producer, Jake. And Jake is like, whenever Jordan has the time, I'm ready for her. Let's get this on air.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and it was a thing that I got so passionate about just because in the actual play space there's such a lack of diversity, and when there is a black or brown or native person, they're like the one person at the table, or Asian person, any person of color or any queer person, they're the one colorful person at the table in a sea of non-colorful people. And
Yeah.
it's gotten better since 2021. We've gotten so much better, but I still think there's so much work to do. around diversity and player safety and just having a good time. And I had to call myself out recently because I'm starting to run some other new actual plays that I'm casting for. And I realized I didn't have a safety tool sheet that I normally use. And I
Yo.
felt so guilty about it, but I also realized my home table, we've been playing together for 4 years at this point.
Yeah.
We all know each other excessively well. And there's the added safety of coming from a shared culture
Yeah.
and a shared background where there are certain things that we're just not going to touch on in general because of that shared knowledge.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's never a bad time to add them. It was
yeah, oh
funny.
yeah,
Like I realized, I think 2 years ago. So like halfway through what's now a 4 season show, I was like, oh shit, we should probably have safety tools because even though the
yeah,
rumbles don't, it's not like hugely plot driven. There's anything combat you can hit real big
yeah,
squicks like particulars of gore or whatever. Yeah, so it's
yeah.
never a bad
And
time to add it.
that's usually my big one, especially. I mean, the game that I requested it for is a one shot that I'm doing with some friends, and it's a home game. But I
Nice.
particularly wanted it just for like icks and squicks. I was watching Welcome to Derry, and there was
Oh.
actually, oh god, it's so good. It's probably the best TV show that happened this year. But there were a number of gore things where I was just like, oh, and now I'm gonna turn my head from the television because I can't deal with eyeball stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think there had been. I was watching one of our rumbles where something kind of visceral with an eyeball had been described, and I went, "Oh no, we should add safety sheets." And to be
Right.
fair, we're not probably not necessarily using them as much as we could, but it's also I don't know. I just keep an eye out for if there's going to be something that I think will come up. I'll
Yeah.
let the DM of that game know, like, hey, this is a thing. But mostly, it just hasn't been an issue. But it's funny because I want to start doing more story stuff.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's the panel you were at with me or one of the other ones at PAX U where they talked about, or was it our panel where somebody said it, talking about the like safety sheets are great, but also I think we're reaching the point in the conversation where it's almost the you bend backwards of if we make everything totally safe, then we are
Yeah.
actually taking away the ability sometimes to talk about and work
That
through
was at our
really
panel,
hard
and I
stuff.
think it was
Was it?
Dan Pixel who said it. I think it was Dan
That
Pixel.
sounds
It might
right.
have been Sachi. I know it was somebody sitting to, I know it was somebody sitting to this side of me, and it wasn't Whitney.
It's so funny because I rewatched our whole panel to like
Yeah.
look for clips. I now have the experience of watching our panel, which makes my memories of was I
Yes.
sitting listening to it or did I see it have like
Yeah.
blended.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I think it was Dan Pixel who said it, and it was a great thing, and it was that you, right? And I think that's
yeah.
one of the reasons. Um, and I'm not trying to give myself an excuse because I needed to be using a fucking safety sheet in my home game. Whoop!
You're
Sorry, guys.
I
Sorry,
don't think
kids.
we've dropped worse on a Twitch channel before. It's
All right, cool. Um, but one of the I don't it's kind of hard to explain, right? But like to hit that Euban of sometimes you do want to explore things that are kind of gross. And I will say at that home table, at a regular table, right? Like at a
yeah.
regular table, like at a rumble or a game with people that I don't know that well, or any other table, I would absolutely say, hey, fantasy racism is an X for me. We're not going to do that
Yeah.
because it just doesn't feel good. I will say at my own table with an all black cast, those are themes that we explore, and a lot of times because it's able to be cathartic for us. And
Yeah.
I think about well, San Diego Comic Con 2019, I think it was. There was Cannery Road did an immersive experience.
Oh.
And so they took you into like a street that was supposed to be like Cannery Row, and you see all the or you don't see any fantasy creatures. It's just an
Yeah.
old timey street. And then you went into the speakeasy, and the speakeasy is where you met all the fantasy creatures, and they like served you a drink and a snack, and the fantasy creatures did a little show, blah blah blah. And then it got busted up by the police. That's the whole point of the Cannery Row show, right?
Oh.
But this tavern that you're in gets busted up by the police. And I, being an immersive actor and just a crazy person, absolutely went ham on the immersive experience at the police and was like yelling at them and like acting like a crazy person. And one of my friends was like, "You went really hard when we were leaving." And I looked at her because she's, a white femme.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I was like, "Dude, like as a black femme, that is the only time I am ever going to have the catharsis of being a dick to the police. Like there's never going to be a situation where I can actually act out or say what I want to say
Yeah.
to the police."
And be
And I
safe.
saw my moment and I took it.
Damn. Damn.
Right?
Man, this
Like
makes me
that.
want to have like a secondary conversation about immersive theater cause
Oh
yeah,
God, we can talk about immersive theater all day. But that's,
another
I
show.
think, those immersive theater moments and those D&D moments
Yeah,
and things are, you can explore unsafe things in a controlled environment. Um,
100%.
and
I
so
mean,
I think that that's the thing. And it's not, I read a lot of really dark fiction and terrible fiction and things. And I always remind people, like, the author writing this is not an endorsement. Like, they're not saying this is great behavior.
mm,
They're just exploring certain ideas that as humans need to be part of our consciousness.
yeah, like if we're not talking about it, confronting it, it's the thing I'm seeing a lot right now with like internet censorship,
Yeah.
where people want to create safe spaces by like never talking about these things that actually happen, and then that actually makes you more vulnerable to when it does.
Yeah, right? It
Um,
turns into I don't see color, which is now you're just denying parts of people's experience.
yeah,
Like,
which I remember was like my step one of like beginning the
right?
lifelong work as a white person of dismantling your
Yeah.
internalized racism was moving like I mean I can truly remember the eye-opening moment, which was way too late in my life, but fully college, when I had it kind of explained to me that like not seeing color is step one. Step two is actually going, no, we have to see color,
You have
or
to see
you
it. Yeah.
won't be able to see the way that it impacts people's lives. And I was like,
Yeah.
that gif on the internet of the mind blowing up. I
Yeah.
was just like, whoa. Um, Luckily, I went to two very cool colleges, both in the South, with some great professors that kicked my ass in a lot of ways. But yeah, so I don't know if you necessarily want to continue on this track in regards to
We're
tabletop,
fine.
but I'm kind of more interested. So your first Blackness and Dragons, is that your
Yeah.
first DMing experience? I think it is in the
Yeah,
like
it was.
actual play space.
Yep. It was
So
my first experience
DMing at all?
DMing ever.
It's crazy. Because I have some just base
Yeah.
questions that I was gonna ask and have asked our previous interview guest, but like the question of like what compelled you to begin running games, but I think
Yeah.
I think asked and answered. It
Yeah,
was
it
that
was
you had
that.
an
And it
idea.
was I had an idea and I there was a place that I'd go to every Tuesday night, and Jason Carl was also a regular face there, and so he and I just became friends. I had no clue that he was like the person that he is. Right? He was just
Yeah,
my weird,
you
goth
just
friend
know
Jason.
this guy. Yeah.
I just know a guy, and we would talk about games, and he knew that I was a player and that kind of deal. And I told him that I had this idea, and Jason and another friend of mine who I call my D&D dad, I told both of them that night that like I was had this idea and I wanted to hand it to another DM, and I actually was like, hey, you guys know Christina Ariel, do you think? And they're like, no, this is not Christina's project, this is your project. You're gonna put on your big girl pants, you're gonna grab your D20, and you're gonna DM the game.
That's genuinely incredible. I mean, I'm so glad because like uh a thing I don't know, the tiny little voice of fear always
Yeah.
says like you can't discuss your ideas or somebody will take them.
Yeah.
It's so cool that they insisted, I guess, that you take your own idea and
Yes.
make something out of it.
Yeah, yeah, right. And I think that's about safety in the people that you know who are not gonna. Because I have that same like, you can't, don't tell people your ideas because they'll steal them. Especially I think in this space that is so small and we're all clawing for, you know,
Pieces of
our
the
quote
pie.
unquote seat at the table. Yeah, yeah, our piece of the pie. That,
Yeah.
yeah, I think our ideas become very precious and very sacred. And but every now and then you have to share them, and friends will help you and move you forward. And yeah, so
Yeah.
yes, that is what compelled me to become a DM. I had an idea and I just had to see it all the way through.
That's really awesome. Cause yeah, it's so funny. Uh, it's sort of the same way when
Yeah,
the Rumbles were starting. I don't know how much I've talked about this like truly publicly. Most people know, but Mac, who has been one of our DMs before,
yeah,
John, the owner of the roguelike, and I just were like buddies hanging out at the karaoke nights. Like I just got to know John and Mac by like staying late and singing karaoke for way too long. And we were talking about this idea that John wanted an in-house D&D show for his bar, and Mac has had experience as a DM. At the time, I was very much a baby DM with my own home
yeah,
campaign. So I was like, look, I'm a producer. You'll just DM the games, Mac, and I will
yeah.
produce it, and it'll be this whole thing. And as I was getting casts secured, Mac was like, I'm too busy to DM, but call me up sometime if you need a player. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll just do it.
Yeah, right?
And man, no offense, Mac's incredible and I adore him, but like, boy, am I glad I was kind of forced into the hot
Yeah.
seat.
Yeah. And same. And it's I have because I wanted to play for years and years and years before I started playing. And being a writer and a storyteller, I always was like, I want to be behind the screen. Like that's where I
Mhm.
want to end up. And I legitimately had a man at one point in my life tell me that I wasn't smart enough. And now I'm
Oh,
like, and I get paid to do this. So go fuck yourself, bro.
the best.
Right?
Live their dreams. It is the
Yes,
best
yeah.
revenge.
It is the best revenge.
Yeah. True pettiness we can discuss another time, but there's a few things maybe I shouldn't say on the internet where it will live forever. But yes, live their dreams is the best revenge.
Yes,
Toast to that.
yeah.
Incredible. So then, okay, so are you at this point primarily a dungeon master? Because I feel like that's what happens to
Yeah.
all of us. Or do you also have opportunities where you're playing aside from
I
Rumbles?
yeah, aside from Rumbles, right? Fortunately, I have like two or three friends who know that like I do DM, and so I'm able to kind of they'll cast me in their actual plays if I have the time or things like that. And I have a steady home game that I love. I'm actually I will put this I should have put this in our group chat. I'm dumb. I will send it to them after the fact, I guess. But
Can
shout out to
watch
the
it.
Nature of Virtue. They're great. We've been playing together for we only get to play once a month because literally there's like eight of us. Half of us live on the East Coast, half of us live on the West Coast. I think two people just moved to Philadelphia. Like we're literally all over the country. But it's a brilliant, fantastic, just my joy of a home game because I get to just be a chaos person to a
Yeah.
fantastic DM and a great group of people.
Yay. That's the best. Yeah, I'm constantly joking like the next
Yeah.
magnet I make for the Rumbles is just going to be like scheduling is the best part of D&D because
What? Yeah, I literally was gonna do. I'm doing a home game for a close friend who he's the forever DM of his friend group, and I was like, "Ah, buddy, I'll run a game for you."
yeah.
So it's him and some mutual friends of ours, and literally scheduling. We had this idea. I think I sent the win is good last week, and I don't think we're gonna be able to session zero until January.
Oh God. That sounds about right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right.
accurate. Crazy. Well, so then, okay, do you do you have a preference? Do you are you I guess more fulfilled or joyful if you get to be a DM or when you get to be a player?
I think it really depends on what's going on. I think there's a lot of fulfillment in and joy in being able to show up to the rogue like 10 minutes before we're supposed to get started and just sit down.
Just
Like,
like here
right?
I am.
Here
I'm
I am.
ready.
There right? There literally I will never forget this. There was one with that home game where I was taking a nap on my couch and my phone starts ringing and my Sarah, my one of my best friends,
Yeah, yeah.
she's like, "Hey, you coming?" And I'm like, "Coming to what?" And she's like, "D&D." And I was like, "We don't D&D for 3 hours." And she was like, "Bro, you're looking at the East Coast calendar. It starts at 7 for them. It's 4 for us.
Oh
We are
God.
waiting." And I was like, "Oh shit." And I was like, "Stall for like 5 minutes. I'll be there."
The worst. Yeah. I mean, that's
Right.
truly
So
what
like,
killed my home game was we were
yeah,
East Coast West Coast split and it just
yeah.
nightmare time.
So yes, there's great fulfillment in being able to not have to do all the prep work of being a dungeon master
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and contributing to a story and a vision in that way. But I will like I come from a writing and a storytelling background, so there is great satisfaction in the weeks of sitting at home and building this world and thinking about things and building this sandbox and then handing it to my players and seeing what happens.
Yeah, well, speaking of, because this is supposed to be an interview
Yeah.
show, not just like with the players and DMs of the
Yeah.
Rumbles, but also a little bit about it. Okay, so you have been both a player and a DM.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about both Solange and the Witch of the Waste and why you created both of them, why
Yeah.
they exist, who they
Uh
are?
yes. I Solange is probably an amalgamation of the characters that I generally tend to play in games.
Yeah,
I love a good caster. Um I'm a singer, so I give me an excuse to sing and I will sing at your table. Especially I think in things like in one shots and rumbles and things like that that lend themselves towards more of a lighthearted comedy
yeah.
thing. Oh, actually I have sung in games very seriously. Huh.
Oh,
Yeah. But I
I want to know
yeah.
about that in a minute.
Yeah. But like the pop culture riffs and the singing and all that is
Yeah.
kind of it's a thing that I enjoy doing. So Solange is really just an amalgamation of all of that situation. And I think, my first Rumble, I think I was a little naive and I thought that everybody's just going to build these like standard D&D 5e characters and we're all just going to play like a gentle game of combat with each other. And then it turns out we had two bards and two fucking gunslingers and you can't
Yeah.
I won't say you can't because one of the bards did win that game, but it's very hard to win a rumble when
Yeah.
your weapon is joke
Yes.
and your opponent's weapon is gun.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean Lamar, we'll just call him out by name. He built to
Yeah.
kill, and
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I don't
truly
blame him for it.
almost wrecked shit. Although
No.
if you watched him triumph finally this
Woo.
past week, he got his day in the arena. So
Yes.
and he truly wrecked my shit. Um, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think
That's so I definitely I beefed her up for my next rumble, but
for sure.
still like again, caster versus like somebody with a gun.
But I don't know. That's it's kind of my kind of hope and expectation generally is that people will lose their first game at this point. I mean,
Oh yeah.
in the
Yeah,
first season
right?
it was like fair game, but now it is kind of the hope that a returning player will get the edge not only through patronage but like for understanding our weird little
Yeah.
format. Um, yeah, it is
Yeah.
what it is.
I The Witch of the Waste was really just you know, we were in Halloween, just playing up the and you specifically asked me to do the Halloween show and I took it with honor because I'm a Halloween girly. You know, goth's got a goth.
Yeah,
So
I was kind of
it was
hoping you'd have fun with the theme and run
yeah,
with it.
yeah. I just wanted to have some fun with the theme and I love honestly I love what we did. I love building that graveyard. I loved
It was
all
really
the dumb monster mash jokes I got to make.
Yeah, no, it was great. So it's speaking back to our friend Lamar,
Yeah.
and maybe I'll come out. I'll trust both you and the audience with this little bit. We were talking before the call about kind of developing the dungeon masters a bit more like Iron Chef style. Um, so assuming the Witch of the Waste is back, and it may be rotation wise still October.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to do a Halloween theme every year, but um,
Hey, we're goths all
I
day long. I
mean,
roll all year
it's
long,
true.
every day.
My other kind of like gentle pipe dream hope though would be to kind of do find a way to do a Dungeon Masters like one shot.
Yeah.
So if that were the case, what kind of like caster do you think the Witch of the Waste is? And yeah, what school of magic is she focusing in on?
Oh man, I mean, yeah, so here's the hard thing. This is the thing that because I've played in different systems and played at different tables.
Yeah.
I I accidentally fell in love with Pathfinder 2.0. And
Oh.
I say accidentally because I was a Pathfinder holdout for a very long time. I would play in it, but I would never I was like I'm never going to convert any of my shows
Yeah.
to it. Like I'm not the numbers are too big. I don't like it. Um 2.0 came out and I just got a better understanding of it. And while the numbers are still, I think, just very large for no reason, it makes more sense and it is a really great system. It's not as crunchy as people say it is, but I accidentally fell in love with it because they literally have a character build called it's a witch. It's a literal witch, and you get to have a familiar. You get to choose a patron. I chose Baba Yaga as mine, which means I got iron nails and teeth. Like it was a whole whoever did it did their homework
Yeah.
on like which character and which lore, and the build is so good. And I am
I'm
trying to
for it.
find something analogous in D and D.
Create it, homebrew it,
Right, yeah, right. And I'm like,
draw
I'm just gonna have
it
to
up.
homebrew it because the build that they have, and it was one of those things that we did it as an actual play at Comic Con, you
Yeah.
know, as Paizo sponsored to try and like bring more eyes to the fact they
Cool.
had 2.0.
Yeah.
And literally, I did something, and one of the other players looked at me and was like, "You can fucking do that in this?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's a thing in this version of the game."
That's sick. That's awesome. That's really cool. But no, I mean, just because for our context, anything Rumble is probably gonna
Yeah,
forever stay in
it's
the
gonna still be
realm.
D&D. Yeah, it's here's the thing, and this is I think a lot of us who work on actual plays have this conversation with each other in circles, in that you need D&D because it is the most familiar game, and it's what's going to get people who haven't watched you yet to tune in because it's what they're most familiar with. But we also need to get away from it because it's oversaturated, right?
Yeah. And I don't
It's
know.
hard.
I think in general, my philosophy as a DM anyway is just that
Yeah,
all it is the sandbox to play in. But what you
exactly.
build is your own business,
Yeah,
and I'm never gonna
yeah.
let the rules stop me from something
No,
interesting.
it's I used to have a joke with another actual play DM when I very first started, when I was a baby and I was not great.
Yeah.
And he would joke and he said, "You open the Dungeon Master's Guide and you got to the part on like the third page where it says, these are just loose suggestions up to the DM." And you said, "I've read enough."
Heard. That's it. Thank
Gotcha.
you. Incredible. Well, okay, so then I guess I've a
Yeah,
little bit shared my
okay.
philosophy. Oh no! Oh, tell me more about
I
the
was gonna say
witch.
no, the Witch of the Waste. I'll say this. I know she's not going to be a necromancer because I have grand necromancer plans um,
Elsewhere.
for the other shows that are held at the Roguelike because I did play a necromancer in one of them.
Yes.
So I want to call it Burlesque and Chill because that was the last burlesque show I was in. Whoops, not
Well,
that, but shout out to you guys because you're also great. Dungeons and Dream Girls. I have Dungeons and Dream Girls plans for my necromancer. So
I man, I, look, this is technically about the Rumbles, but
yeah,
Dungeons and Dreamgirls has truly risen to one of my favorite things ever that I've ever been a part of ever. And I
it's
yeah,
such a fun concept, and you guys put together such a fun show, and the audience really buys into it, and I think that's
I
my
mean that's a
favorite
huge part of it.
part.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of it, and I think it is a little different from a Rumble. I think because even though we have so many returning audience members to Rumbles, and people are bringing in their family and their friends, I do think there's like a 20 to 30 minute gap with a Rumble where the audience is still figuring out what they're watching.
Yeah. It's yeah, and it's also I mean it is also just the difference of Rumbles are WWE Magical Hunger Games
Yeah,
and the Dungeons and Dreamgirls we get to tell a story and
yeah,
it's just so satisfying. It's so satisfying to
yeah.
do that part of Dungeons and Dragons that I don't get to do it up. So, yeah. So that's why it's personally satisfying for me. But anyway, okay, real quick, what was I going to ask about? Oh, I want to just tell me the story real quick of when you seriously sang as a bard.
Oh, so in our very first season of Blackness and Dragons, I just wholeheartedly ripped off Dungeons and Daddies. Okay, I can say that with my whole chest. I have no fucking shame about it. I was a baby. Shit happens.
Happens. Yeah.
And I mean, and honestly, when I think dealing with an actual play, an isekai story is fantastic, and we joke about it now with the Blackness and Dragon cast that adventuring party has been like quadruple isekai at this point. There have been so many times where it's like, oh, you thought that was the world you're living in, but it's not. You got transported to this world. Now you're in a different world. Now you're back in the first world. Now you're not. It's a dream. Whatever.
Yeah.
We love anime. Um, so basically, I had isekai'd them, and I had them all transported. They had come from our world, and they got transported in the Forgotten Realms, and they had to get back home again. And when they collected all their magical items at the end of the season and got to cast their spell, I sang "Home from the Wiz." Um,
Oh.
yes, and it was one of my players like, "This is emotional manipulation." And I was like, "Oh, it absolutely is." But like, there's stakes, right? What's a D&D game without stakes? Here are the stakes. You guys have been trying to get home for so long. Here are
Yeah.
the stakes.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, no, I would, that is an emotional manipulation at its finest. I mean, that's what the
Yeah,
dungeon masters that you gotta
that's
play
the
the
point.
strings.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'm trying. I'm like I'm at such a loss of like where I want to go next because I want to know everything. I just want to talk with you for 3 hours. Problem solved. We're just gonna be here for another
I have
two.
time this evening. Whatever.
Great. No, okay. So you've done Solange. Do you think she's gonna
Yeah.
continue to be the character you bring back to the Rumbles, or do you want to change?
I mean, right. There's the production mind of me, and then there's like the player mind of me, where like the production mind is like, yes, you have emotional currency with this character, and they've got a story arc. And I will say, I really enjoyed watching the story arc of Marquia's character who had been in the Rumble
Yeah.
3 times and gone from like a wholesome baker to like a French revolutionary. Like, what a
Yes.
great how
Insane.
fun,
So
how
good.
fun. Yeah, so there's that part of it, but as a player, I'm like, there are just so many fun things that can be done
Yeah.
in this world, and I've got a whole stack of D&D core books and manuals that I could just open at any point and build something outrageous from. So
Yeah. And I don't know.
I don't know.
It's been the tough I don't know, quandary, I guess, as producer
Yeah,
for the games of like how much am I encouraging people to always come back as the same character because there's that investment
yeah.
versus giving yourself a chance to do something new where it feels fresh and interesting. Um, I think
And I
our
will.
yeah.
I think just the setting of Las Asimas, which you've created, is fantastic. But it does lead to just so many fun ideas, And I think watching Rumbles and now coming to Big and DM and seeing some of the other things that people have pulled from Los Angeles culture and other things, I'm like, there's just a fun sandbox to play in.
There is, and like truly, my project over the winter is going to be trying to get bits of lore from everyone to make sure we have a like
Yeah.
codified. I gotta flesh out the world build document because
Yeah.
it's been a minute and people have said some shit. I need to like add more
Yeah.
lore. And it's one of the reasons though why I want to do more story streams is just because like we
Yeah.
have this wild community built world. Like I'll take the this much credit of going,
Yeah.
let's make it magical Los Angeles, and then we can riff on the world around us. But then the rest of it is at this point 4 seasons of 30 plus people a
Yeah.
year playing in the space,
Yeah.
which I don't know how many other D&D worlds are like that, where it's truly a mosaic of people adding and creating together. It's very wild and weird. Well, okay, so we talked a bit about both you as a DM and as a player. I think the singing home to your players is a spectacular moment as a dungeon master. Is there any moment as a player that really stands out for you as like a highlight of the games you've played so
I
far?
I in this oh my god, now I really do have to send it to this crew so they can see this clip in particular.
Yeah.
In that home game, The Nature of Virtue, I our DM John and I kind of have this back and forth. Um, I don't think if it's John's first time DMing a game, but it was very important and very special to him that he DM'd this game with this group of people. Um, and I got brought into it by a friend. Basically, it was kind of like our friends Sarah and Eric. Basically, were like, let's just take our friends group. We're gonna take our different friend groups, make them have a baby, and they're all gonna play D&D together, and it's gonna be great.
Nice.
Is what Sarah and Eric did. And so John and I didn't know each other going into this, but he knew that I was like somebody who did this quote unquote professionally, which is always like it's a loaded term.
Yeah.
Um, and he and I will go back and forth about DM ideas and blah. I'm like, clearly he can't tell me what's going on because I'm sitting at the table. But he and I will go back and forth after sessions about like things that worked really well, maybe what didn't, what felt good, what didn't. Like I just
Yeah.
throwing back and forth DM ideas. And he got me really good with the character reveal. There was an NPC that it. Oh God! So in this game, I play an Ursine, which is a bear person.
Right.
Um, and I was just like, I'm just gonna be the goofiest thing I can think of. I'm gonna play a bear and blah blah. And like it was one of those things where you unintentionally put all of your childhood trauma into a character. I like did not
Oh God.
realize that's what I had done until John and I got done with our session 0, and I was like,
Oh
oh
no.
man, oh great. And so he built this great bear character that's got like this deep family lore that affects the entire world because my father's like a war hero and blah blah blah, and I'm following in his footsteps and all this
Yeah.
fantasy magical junk. And in the game, my mother was going through some very serious issues and was not there for the siblings. So I'm like trying to take care of like little bear cub siblings as well as like fight a war. It's very adorable. Um, and what I didn't know is that we just thought that my mother character was like just off somewhere, just like sick and off
Yeah.
somewhere and off screen and whatever. And John brought her back in as like this were demon, basically.
Oh
And I
no.
was engaged in combat with my own mother, and I figured it out like halfway through combat on accident, and because he had titled the episode Mama, and I'm in combat with this character, and I thought about the episode title, and I like looked at the art that he had just dropped in chat, and I was like, and just the look on my whole face fell, and I was so shocked, and he was like, that is the most satisfying thing that's ever happened to me as a DM, to get one over on another
Oh.
skilled DM and not have you realize it. And I was like, yeah, you got me, because I didn't.
Yeah. No, that would
Yeah.
rip your heart out. Damn.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. I mean, kudos to him as a DM for pulling it off.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes. So I will say I can't. I'm not as an actual play like those are going over my head. But that was
Yeah.
one where it's just really like the real time payoff of like him trying so hard to get one over on me and it happening and both of us being like,
Yeah.
oh fuck.
Yeah. That's spectacular. Cool. Well, kind of looping back to the beginning of our conversation, a question I meant to ask and forgot was, so obviously we did that panel at PAX U,
Yeah.
which I guess for anyone that watches this back, was a panel on the role and responsibilities of producers and dungeon masters to ensure that we are creating diverse tables and making them safe.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you feel like you didn't quite get out, like the conversation moved past, anything left unsaid that you just want to add?
You know what? I kudos to you for picking a great group of people and running a really tight panel because I think we got through it in a really. It's why, right? We're balancing time because we only have 45 minutes and we all have these really great big ideas and we all have big personalities because we're people who perform and are
Do
on,
this.
television. We
Yeah.
yeah, we're on screens all day long. So kudos to you and the whole table for running a really tight ship and a great panel and saying what needed to be said. I'm very proud of what we did, and I'm most proud that I think the people that needed to hear it were actually in the room.
Boy, yeah, when I looked out, props
Yeah,
to everyone at PAX U that came out. I was a
yeah,
little bit worried it would be a preaching to the choir kind of moment, but
right. Yeah.
It really from the paleness reflecting back at
Yeah.
us, and the
Yeah, from the
questions
paleness
asked. It
reflecting by
just
us and the questions asked, and
yeah
even, at LobbyCon later, there were
yeah
several people who came up to me during LobbyCon and were like, I caught your panel, it was so great. Or, there were even people who were like, I missed your panel, but I heard about it. Can you give me the Cliff Notes kind of situation?
yeah
Um, and I feel like I actually am starting to see the seeds of it because I've seen a couple of actual play casts announcements come out with people that we talked to and friends we networked with and made, and the tables are not looking very pale.
same. I'm
Very happy to see
hopeful.
it.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
really grateful to everyone that agreed to be on the panel. Frankly, was a tough choice. Like I do feel like a little bit our circle particularly, it's an embarrassment of
Mm.
riches. We know so many
Yeah.
incredible dungeon masters and producers. But I was really pleased that everyone who was there, which was of course yourself, Whitney, Smoking Glue Guns, Sachi Versachiko, and then of course Dan Pixel. Really, really cool group of people.
Yeah.
I kind of hope we can do like part two or some nuance with some of the folks
Yeah,
that
right?
weren't able to be there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Dragon Con?
Moo! I mean, I now have an in with the Dragon Con tabletop. I can pitch
So
that.
do
Okay.
I.
I have a new project
Uh,
for January.
no, you know what? I'm so glad about what was said, but I think, looping
Yeah.
back to Dan Pickles' comment about the you and kind of what we touched on earlier is that we need to be creating, especially right now with what's going on socio-politically,
Mhm.
we need to be creating tables that are safe enough for us to explore unsafe ideas,
Yeah.
because I think as storytellers and artists, it's one of the most powerful tools we have for protest. And I don't know if I'm sure you had to have seen it. The Vanity Fair article this week is all I'm going to be thinking about for a very long time because it was such a powerful form of protest. And I would love to see more things like that in the actual play space. I would love to
Mm.
see more people using what platform that we have, not just, to have a diverse table and represent people, because that
Yeah.
part does matter,
Yeah.
but to explore some of these weird, uncomfortable things and really say something. Um, and the only way that we are going to be able to do that in a safe way is to have a diverse group of people and a wealth of ideas to draw from and a wealth of voices to speak to these issues and talk about how they're affecting us. And then we get to reskin them and put them in a we get to
A
do the
magical
Aesop's
fantasy.
fable situation.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny. Thinking about the you kind of put me back in mind of like I did a quick Google. I was like, I gotta make sure I'm quoting the right person. Pretty sure it's
Yeah.
James Cone, who was a theologian, talking about this is the loosest of paraphrasing, but talking about essentially the pendulum has to almost swing the entire other way first before true
Mm-hmm.
quality can be met, and up to
Yeah.
you whether or not you agree with that philosophy. But it's one of the it's kind of a thing I think about in terms of casting where I'm just essentially not looking for um, demographics that I have plenty of anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just not casting the net in that direction so much
Yeah.
these days. Um, one, because the fish will swim up to me regardless. They
Yeah.
want to be in the boat. They want to be in the net. I've got
Yeah.
them. Thank you. So I'm going to throw my net that way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. We just,
It's
like
I
we
mean,
already
but I
said,
mean,
the
even
talent's there.
the home game that literally, it's a home game. This is we're not doing. I love the story I created so much. I may ask them if I have their permission to do it with a different group of people on the. It's a one shot, and I
Yeah.
based it on one of my favorite historical phenomenons, and I'm just so delighted. Uh, I'm not going to say anything in case they're
No, no, no,
watching,
just
but
in case.
anyway.
But
But even in that game, I am running it for my friend who's a forever DM, and he is a white presenting male. The rest of the table is femmes. And I was like, hey, like, which of our friends do you want to play with? And he named one femme. And then I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to ask her a partner as well. And then I was like, well, hey, what about this femme? And then in my head, there was a moment where I was like, oh, is he going to want to sit at a table with all femmes? And then I was like, too bad if he fucking doesn't, because he is.
he's getting it anyway. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's funny.
And I think that's not going to be my strategy go forward, but I do think if we're tokenizing, yeah, I'm going to tokenize in that way. I will bring in there's so many,
it's
and I
not.
love so many of them dearly, and they're great friends, and that's fantastic. But I personally do not need to put another table of that on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the things of like I remember last year. It's one of the things where the Rumble does get really weird because at some level I'm picking the monthly cast, but I don't pick the winners.
Yeah.
And then we did eliminations, and I still don't pick the winners. And so I was a little
Yeah.
bit like, what if by accident we end up with an all white championship? Like,
Yeah.
oh no.
What is that going to look like? Yeah.
And we didn't. But it was kind of delightful this year looking at our 8 champions to just go, it's literally impossible for me to have an all white final
Yeah.
rumble, which is I think ultimately the goal. Like for
Yeah.
for my very intentional casting through the year to then reflect as incidental and accidental diversity is I think
Hmm.
ultimately the goal.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so either way, come watch the elimination kids. The one plug I'll do. It's gonna be great. Uh, they're gonna be on fire. That's
Oh
it.
yeah.
I don't know if you've seen. It's gonna be an
It's
insane.
so. Oh god, that cast is wild.
I by again scheduling is the best part of D&D. We're gonna have Whitney and Lamar in the same game. So yikes on bikes. It's gonna be a firecracker. um,
I
yeah,
keep thinking about 20-sided tavern, which we had the pleasure of seeing. And if
yeah.
you need a rules lawyer for that game, I will gladly Lamar and Whitney at the same table. I will gladly step in and be your rules lawyer.
I might. Yeah, that or I'm just gonna fully tap Steve to make that his new role forever. Because
Yeah.
man, that man knows the manual back and forth, and somehow
Oh
already
yeah.
2024 rules insane.
Right.
Not that we need to praise a white man on the street, but Steve
Eh.
Fisher, you're a real one, and I adore you. So, um, well, we're kind of getting towards where I would love to wrap this up. Do you have a dice on you?
You know what? Not in this room.
Okay.
There are several in this home, but not in this room.
Would you rather either I have dice right next to me and I can roll for you, or you can pull up a digital dice and just roll me a d20?
I'll pull up a
Roll
digital
your
one.
own.
It's so you know what's so goofy is like there's literally a D20 in my handbag,
Oh
but
no.
just not
I
in
didn't
this.
tell you to have one, but
I know.
I have
Well,
at the end of my little prep.
this is a fun thing for people who only watch PYP and know me from the Rumbles
Yeah.
only. When I am actual playing, as of today, I will be moving in 2024 or 2025. No, what year? What fucking year is it? 26? We're in
26.
25.
It
We're in
is
25. I'm
25.
gonna be moving in 26. But
Crazy.
as of 25, I stream and produce all of my content from a corner of my kitchen,
Oh, all right.
and that's why there are no dice in this room because
Fair.
yeah, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
technically my kitchen. I looked at a place that had like a nice sized pantry, and like for the joke, I was like, I wonder if I could actually make this my office,
I mean,
just for the lulls of like still being in the kitchen.
yeah. But I mean, to be fair, if you didn't need it as a pantry, it would be great because
Yeah,
soundproofing and
right. That was part of the thing. I was like, this is actually a very soundproof room. Like logically, this would work as a. I'm thinking about doing it for the bit, but
I
logically, this
mean,
works as an
but
office.
also.
Yeah. I rolled a 9.
Okay, great. Because I have here a list of 20. These are straight off of dating prompt website. So because this is a date with destiny, I gotta ask you at least one.
Yes, yeah.
All right. So number 9 is if you saw the targeted ads I get, you'd think dot dot dot.
I'm only laughing. You would think that I play D&D, and I'm saying this because I have to pull up the messages.
Oh no.
I got one the other I sent a friend a joke. It was sent to me and then I sent it to them. And it was a t-shirt a friend I'm sure
Uh,
you can read between the lines of that. So it's a t-shirt that says ADHD and D with a D20 on a 1, a crit fail, and it says roll for concentration.
oh no.
So I sent it to him and I was like, "Oh, I need that shirt." And he was like, "Yeah, you do." But then after that, all of my targeted ads became like D&D shirts. So one of them was like she, her, dice goblin are my pronouns. The other one is my DM is hotter than yours.
Well,
This one, the world is run by 80-year-old sociopaths. But hey, look at my new dice tower.
spectacular.
I've also got a ton of ads from Ynir since coming back from PAX U.
Mm-hmm.
So like yeah, if you saw my targeted ads, you would assume that I do a lot of nerd shit because that's where we are.
There you go. I don't know. I don't know that mine are that interesting, but one thing that I did always find funny is back when I've been through 2 legal name changes, and the first one did give me a particular last name, and I started getting targeted ads in Spanish, and I went, oh, friends, one, I married into it, and two, he doesn't speak Spanish either, so up the wrong tree, but It was really funny. The
Oh
the
yeah.
internet will get you on that front every
Yeah,
time.
there was a number of years where the internet thought, and because there used to be a time where you could like look at that on Facebook or Google or somehow you could track it, but the internet thought that I was like a 30-year-old white woman and I was like a 25-year-old me. Um,
I definitely have heard of people like friends of friends like getting baby formula stuff before their like family member announces a pregnancy, which is
yeah.
wild. Um, but
Well,
crazy.
there's a whole thing. I went down a whole rabbit hole about this because I used to work in tech, and now my 9 to 5 I work in merchandising and retail and all
Yeah.
that, and shopping and whatever. So it's like that kind of shit just fascinates me. And I went down a whole rabbit hole, and it's basically your targeted ads are a combination of things that you have looked at, but also the people around you.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, if you go home to your parents' house and you start getting advertisements for the coffee they buy, it's because your phones have fucking linked up and are talking to each other, and they're like, "Hey, tell Sarah about the coffee."
Our trader devices.
I know.
And our our personal CIA agents always watching.
Mm. That's
That's
why when people were like, they're putting stuff in the water so they can track you and know everything about you, and I'm like, no, you gave it to them. They
yeah,
don't need to track you. You gave it to them
it's already
willingly.
there. It's already there. Well, anyway, I guess one final question before we
Yeah.
wrap this up. Where do you see yourself in the D&D community?
Oh
What's your role?
man.
What's your vibe?
I don't call it a comeback. Actually, I think is my 2026 vibe. I again, for people who aren't aware of me or outside of the rumbles or anything like that,
Yeah.
I went through some really gnarly personal life stuff in 2024, and so D&D, like a lot of things that were me centric, just had to take a back seat, and I had to tend to my family and some just very serious issues that were happening there. And there was still some of that in 2025, and now we're officially kind of on the other side of that. And so my 2026 goals, I was talking about this in therapy yesterday. I will plug therapy. I think it's very important.
All day, every day.
Um, all day, every day.
You can't
Um,
just do it in D&D. You have to go talk to a
no, you
licensed
have to,
therapist.
right. You have to talk to an actual, and I don't care that your DM works in mental health in their real life. You need a therapist. Um, my 2026 goal in general is to just put myself back in the driver's seat and do things more for me and my own goals and projects and passions. And a very large part of that, particularly coming out of PAX U, is doing more tabletop and running more games and really just getting back out there. I think I had some great steam and some momentum, and I had to let it go to take care of real life. But I'm just gonna hit it real hard, and I shout out to Jay Foster from Himbos. I love him. He's a great person and a great friend. But he's also now my accountability buddy, and we talked about this coming out of PAX U, and he's like, "What do you really need to like really put yourself forward and be successful and do the things that you want to do in the TTRPG space?" And I was like, honestly, I need somebody who's gonna bother me about stuff and be like, "Hey, did you write the session this week? Did you send out your casting notice? Did you do that stuff?" So he's my accountability buddy, and every once a week I get a text from Jay that's like, "What'd you do this week?"
That's awesome. That's great. I love that. Well,
Yeah,
thank you again for taking the time and very last minute.
of course.
I was like, I just really
Yeah.
want to get a December one up. But also, I loved talking to you and hanging out with you at PAX
Yeah.
U, and I wanted to do more of it. So,
Yeah,
uh,
same, big same. Love hanging out with you. Love talking to you. I love being able to talk shop with people too. I think especially
yes.
when we start hanging out as friends, sometimes we don't talk about this stuff because we want to be friends and not business. But like sometimes talking about this stuff is just fun.
Yeah, I truly love it. Yeah, I will talk business all day, every day, but I shouldn't.
Yeah,
But this was great. So, I
yeah.
guess before we wrap it up, just where can you be next found in 2026?
Yeah.
Coming out of the holidays.
I am a Jordan Lambert. You can find me on the internet at Lambertra. It's my last name with an extra RAA at the end. In January, I will be on an actual play podcast on a brand new channel, and I'm not going to say too much because I'm not going to steal their thunder. I'm a player, and it's their team and their production and all that. But actually, I lied. It's not in January. We're recording in January. I don't think we're premiering until like
Okay.
February or March, but that's going to be coming out towards the top of the year. Um, that's like my January focus because I'll be recording that podcast in January. Blackness and Dragons comes back in February on Alt Haven. And then just keep your eyes on my social media because I'm going to have some casting notices come out in January for some other games that I'll be running throughout the year. And stuff's happening. Stuff's happening.
Hell yeah!
I'm
Yay!
just like everyone else. I am circling back in the new year, guys.
Constantly. I've promised so many people. I'm like, New Year, New Year, New Year, we'll do it. But we will.
Yeah,
And
I think as of today is my day of being like, okay, and now we're done with new things. We're just gonna start circling back in the new year.
yeah, for sure. Well, thank you again. I'm
Of
going to
course.
take us now to our cute little credit roll. For everybody else, I'm Sarah, Sarah Dernesk. I don't think I said that at any point during this stream, but I'm producer for Pick Your Poison Productions, and we'll have more stuff coming in the new year, so keep it out. And I intend to do this with every cast member who will spend an hour with me. So there will be more, I swear. But anyway, I'm gonna go to the credit. It's gonna probably look weird for a second because I think I deleted the video file, but it will get there. Thanks for watching.
Bye, guys.
Bye.